Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Tuesday, February 24th. So, what are we going to talk about today, guys? I thought we'd talk about the technology that's here and that's coming. So, stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back. My name is Eric. If you didn't already know it, yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Tuesday, February 24th of 2026. So, what are we talking about when it's the technology and what's out there? And I've been kind of doing a little bit of a deep dive curiosity because I'll be honest with you, I use AI quite a bit because that's my field. And I've used AI for quite some time now as like a personal assistant. If you're not embracing technology, that's okay. That's totally your forte, right? Because I think there's a less complicated life the less we deal with all this stuff. AI doesn't make your life less complicated. It just makes it somewhat more manageable. I think less complicated would be to get away from all devices, computers including. But that's just my take on it, right? But I was looking into what the outdoor power equipment field looks like now versus just a few years ago. And I was kind of pleasantly surprised because I felt that it should have been in that realm by now. And, that's like the autonomous mowers where you can run it at a distance. The AI driven robotic mowers of this generation now, uh, they don't need wires. They don't need, I mean, all they need is the GPS coordinates of your yard. And it does its own thing. It mows on a regular basis. It goes back to its charging system. I mean, just last week I was looking into, because I was in the mining field, most of you already know it, mining zinc and lead. And that was 3,500 feet below the surface. But I was watching, I think it was in Australia, there was an open pit, and I think it was a gold mine. And the thing that surprised me was everything from the excavators to the big dump trucks, everything was being operated by people that are way up on top of the hill in a safe zone inside of a building with the remote controls in front of them, and they can get a 360 of their working area and stuff. And that's one way that they can mine in what would be considered a somewhat dangerous situation less dangerous, because you don't have any people down in that open pit. Everybody is up on top of the hill. And the other part that surprised me was, like with the trucks, they even had the trucks set up so that they knew their route, where they go up and they dump and then they go all the way back down. And all they had to do was let the truck know when it was time to leave, when it was loaded. And it would go all the way up, do its route, dump, come all the way back. And it was on a grid system so that no two trucks were meeting, if you get my drift. So, and if there was anything in front of that vehicle, it would stop automatically with the sensors that are out in front and out in back and on its sides. It's kind of like Flash to the future. It's like maybe Star Trek isn't that far away where we're going to go from galaxy to galaxy. But what does all this mean to, our industry, the outdoor power equipment? Well, it means that we're coming along in leaps and bounds. And I said this many a times on this program, that once they get the battery technology right, and I mean right, I think it's a good thing. But the problem I see is the grid can't handle a lot of electric charging. It can't. It can't even handle what's on the grid right now. And then what are the costs going to be to power up that equipment? We went from the 9 volts to the 20 volt, which is my DeWalt, and I love, they nailed it early on, guys. DeWalt knows what they're doing. But there's a lot of other companies now that are coming ahead with their equipment. And they've got everything from hybrids to all battery. And doesn't matter whether it's a weed trimmer, snowblower, zero turn, they're all here. And they've got now where they have a zero turn that runs off, I think, 60 volt batteries and can do 10 acres to a charge. 10 acres is quite a good chunk of yard. If you got 10 acres and it's your yard, you got money. Then they've got the hybrids. The hybrids will run on battery until the battery gets low and will automatically start a gas engine and run until the battery's recharged and then go back to battery. That, I think, would help a lot of you guys that are in the lawn care business where you're hopping from yard to yard to yard, is that you don't have to worry about the battery running out and having to buy extra batteries, which are really expensive, right? You've got fuel on board. So, and then you've got the option, if you want to run just strictly fuel, you could do that. But they're saying that the decimal level is a lot less with the battery than it is with the gas powered. So if you're in areas that you have complaints about the loud noises and stuff like that, that might be an option. And they've got the units now so that you can buy trailers that self-charge. You just pull it on, plug the trailer in, and it charges the units. So you don't ever have to take them off the trailer when you get home. They've got out there right now where you can buy a zero turn and do your mowing, and then when it comes to using a blower, using a weed trimmer, you just plug it into the main battery on that mower, and now it becomes a charging system for you. You don't have to carry small batteries. You just plug the cord into that and off you go. It means less equipment that you need, less batteries that you need, and everything can be all in one on that unit. That you could mount this stuff right to it. Yeah, it's corded for now, where you have to have, a whip going from your trimmer to back to your lawnmower port. But if you pull up your lawnmower up close to where you want to do trimmings and stuff, you can hop off, plug in the trimmer and do your thing, and then throw the trimmer back into the rack and continue on. You see what I'm saying? There are pros and cons to all of this. There always has, Whether you like it or not, the outdoor power equipment, the big manufacturers are all focusing on green energy, green new energy. And, it's like in our state with Hogle. I disagree with her in the way she's trying to do it. She wants everything, all of our school buses electric. She wants all of our cars electric. She wants all of our homes electric. And it's just not feasible. It's not. We're running into it right now, okay? And it's been going on the last couple months. And that is, on average, to power this house per month is around $120 on average. And whether it's in the summertime running the air conditioner or the wintertime running the furnace, it pretty well is a moot point, okay? Hogle allowed our national grid company to increase the rates. And what ended up happening was the light bill here went from around 120 to almost 200. Just like that. And it's only supposed to be a couple percentage raise, but it went up that high. And I'm like, how? And it wasn't until I was watching on Facebook a couple of our senators and stuff talking. And what they did was, if you look at the delivery charge that your power company is charging you, which is around 60, 70 bucks instead of the usual 10 to 15, New York there's around a 32% tax that the power company is putting into that delivery charge, so that the state is taking 30 to 32% more of your light bill and it's going to their coffers. Why? That's my biggest question, is why? And they've said that there's billions of dollars in this account and it's not being utilized. Give it back. You think that we can support a total electric up here? Here's the skivvy on Northern New York. We have solar farms. We have wind farms. We have power dams. And where does all that electric go? Downstate. We don't get to tap into a single kilowatt off all those systems. None of it. But it's sitting in our backyard. That's what gets me, and it's an eyesore. If it was something that the villages and the towns could utilize and save money with, I could see it. But to do that in our area for somebody 6.5 hours away, I got an issue with it. There's enough places you can put solar panels on top of every apartment building down in New York City. Sorry. You know, I know land is tight down there, but if you don't like where you live, move, right? Enough on that little. No, it kind of gets me because people make policies and do things, and they don't take us regular workers into account. They just, I guess it's because they have too much free time on their hands. If they actually did their job, and that is, you know, pass bills and this and that would help us, it'd be one thing, but they don't. They just come up with more crap during the middle of the night, pass it through, and hope like heck, you know, it doesn't get seen. I was told once, if you see somebody doing nice, a politician over here, they're putting the screws to you over here. That's simply put. But where do you think, and are you utilizing any of the newer equipment? I know I'm not. I mean, I've got the 20-volt DeWalt's. I've used them for years. We love them. But when it comes to my lawnmower, my weed trimmer, my snowblower, I still stay with gas. I like the gas, you know. Would I get a diesel for a lawnmower if I went bigger? Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. It wouldn't bother me a bit. Electric, right now, to me, they're cost prohibitive. And what they're saying is that they may be more money up front, but when you start figuring in service, yearly services on a gas mower, all the fuel, this and that you're actually saving money in the long run. But here's my take on it. What's the long run? I know that a lot of these electric vehicles out there have an 8 to 10 year battery lifespan at the most. And if you buy an electric car, the more years you put on it and the more hours you put on it, the less valuable it gets. And it's never going to get, you know, where even if you hardly used it, it still is not going to hold its value, because a lot of the dealers that are dealing in the battery stuff are looking at longevity. And if you've got something that's 6-7 years old, most dealers won't touch it, because the cost to replace those batteries is cost prohibitive. It's cheaper just to go out and buy another one than it is to actually have the batteries swapped out and get fresh batteries. That's the sad thing. As the batteries get smaller and the charge times get less, I think you're going to see a positive result in it. Claude and I, we've had this discussion more than once. And he's more into automobiles, right? And that is, he's like, why haven't they come out with the electric car that has, like, on the one rear tire, if you have the front drive wheels, on the one rear tire, put a high output alternator on it so that it's continuously charging that battery pack, the bank, while you're driving. You technically could drive from New York to California without stopping to get charged because it was staying charged. He also mentioned like solar panels on top of vehicles so that even when they're parked somewhere, they're charging. If the battery needs charging, they'll just self-charge. That's another option. Why hasn't that come out yet? I think it has, but I think a lot of it has to do with the petroleum industry. They're a threat to them, and these big companies will buy up patents on new technology just to bury them because it's going to affect their bottom dollar. It's sad, but that's the way the world churns, right? But you have so many different things. You have the autonomous, you have the robotics now that doesn't need wires around your yard. They just need a GPS coordinate. And how often you want your yard mowed, about what time and day did you want your yard mowed. You can put all that stuff into that unit and it will take care of itself. The hybrids, I would be more interested in the hybrids where they're electric until the battery gets low. And then it switches over to gas. That has longevity. I've got about a 3.5, 4 acre yard. And sometimes I forget to mow it like 1 week, so it's a little heavier. But my John Deere zero turn goes through it like nothing, The batteries, I think the more resistance you have, the more draw you have, the less you're going to be able to use it, right? I mean, that's common sense to me. It's like if you use a DeWalt 20 volt impact quite a bit, the battery's going to get low. You got to swap batteries out if you want to keep it fully charged and doing what you want to do with it, right? It's common sense. The idea that you can use the zero turn as a battery bank for your trimmers and your blowers and all that all in one, for you landscapers, that might work. With me, if I can't get my zero turn close enough, I'm gonna let it grow as wild grass. Screw that, I ain't weed whacking, that's too much energy. Claude does with his little wheel one, the DR. So in the comments, what do you guys think? Is anybody trying it? Anybody have interest? I mean, I've heard a lot of the ones over the past few years usually end up on somebody's curb because they just get frustrated with them and they're junk. But I think as the technology is coming out this fast and now they're figuring out a way to get longer charge times, longer battery life, it's a possibility. But it comes down to, can the grid handle it? And I say no, not yet. You're going to start paying a lot higher light bills in the end. So on that note, you guys have a great Tuesday. I have cardiac rehab today, so I'm jogging with the oldies. On that note, you guys have a great Tuesday.